I know in my heart that being a creative or being an entrepreneur, having a small business and offering something up is so powerful. And it not only affects the world that we live in, but it also affects us as human beings.
Hey, my feel-gooders. Oh man, I don't know if you could tell from that intro, but today's conversation is getting real. I'm chatting with Paige Slaughter of Fruition Studio, and Paige is one of just those beautiful souls, one of those people that you can just have a really great, real, genuine conversation with. And today I was lucky enough to chat with her about all of those really difficult mindset hurdles that we deal with in our first year of business, our third year of business, year 5, year forever, right? And we chat about how we can cope with them, how we can move past them, and then also healthy habits that we can develop and practice to ensure that we are always working toward happiness. Because I fully believe that success is not really the ultimate purpose of your business, or maybe success is more objective. I think that in order for us to really be successful as entrepreneurs, we need to be happy and enjoy what we're doing, right? So that's what I'm getting into today with Paige, and it is a super, super wonderful conversation. I do have to warn you, at the end of our chat, Paige was like, girl, you need to warn your listeners that we go deep and emotional in today's podcast. So just a warning, we don't get sappy. No tears were shed, if I'm honest, but we do get real. We don't shy away from the hard stuff. So I think that especially with what's been going on lately, today is going to be a great, feel-good, real conversation that I want to welcome you into, because everyone struggles, right? And if we don't talk about it, it's super isolating. And so I want you to know that we're all in this together. Hey friend, and welcome to the Feel Good Social Podcast. I'm your host, Kinsey, and I'm here to help you market your business in a genuine way that works without wasting your precious time. On this show, we chat about social media strategy and mindset tips with a focus on, you guessed it, feeling good. So sit back, relax, and enjoy some genuine conversation for the good of your biz. Before we dive into today's conversation with Paige, can I just remind you that I would love for you to share this episode with anyone who you think needs it. And if you screenshot this episode and share it to Instagram, make sure you tag both Paige and I. She is at Fruition Studio and I am at Feel Good Social on Instagram so that we can see it and share the love right back to you. All right, my friends, let's get into it. Hi, Paige. Thank you so much for joining us, girl. I'm so excited to have you on the show.
I'm excited too. You know, I love everything you do.
Yes. Oh, man. And I think that when I first started this podcast, I reached out to you and I was like, girl, I have to have you as a guest. So this has been a long time coming.
I'm happy to be here.
Yeah. So I already introduced you a little bit in the intro, but I'd love to hear from your own words. Who are you? What do you do? And who do you serve?
I help artists, activists, and purpose-driven entrepreneurs. I think that lots of people have incredible things to offer the world, and a lot of the time it's marketing that gets in their way. It's a really emotional piece of business. And it's also really strategic. So I'm all about finding a balance between those, teaching entrepreneurs how to do their own marketing. And I do some one-on-one services as well.
Yeah, I know. We connect so much on that level where it's like, I see the world of marketing moving toward being this more emotional, driven place. And that's what I just love about you and what you do, and the Real Content Club, which I am a part of, this awesome community. That's so great.
Yeah, Real Content Club really came out of years of working alongside small businesses and finding the same obstacles affecting so many different types of businesses. So I wanted to create this membership experience where entrepreneurs could really come together and exchange ideas and practice marketing in a way that actually feels good to do and is effective, not just in their business, but also within the impact that they want to have on people and on the world.
Yeah, for sure. I actually don't know if I know Paige's origin story. Can you take us back to the beginning of, starting Fruition Studios a little bit and tell us why this all came about?
Yeah. So let's see. I studied philosophy in college. And so after graduating, I didn't know what I would be doing with myself. But I knew that I wanted to work with consumption. A lot of the things that are happening in the world are somehow connected to the way that we make buying decisions. So I actually started Fruition Studio as an online store, and I wanted to offer artisan goods with a huge emphasis on telling the stories behind those products. But then I realized that I wanted to travel and I didn't want to manage inventory.
Yeah.
So I kind of made this pivot towards marketing and really focused on the actual stories of products and of the creators who are putting out these goods and services to people that they want to serve because they really believe in what they're doing and the way that they're doing it. So actually, Fruition Studios started as a store and then more of an artist collective. And now it's still an artist collective, but in a different way. It's like I've kind of circled back to that idea over and over and over again over the years. But every time it evolves, and it's really kind of honing in on this focus around telling the story of a product and helping consumers make decisions about what they buy based on real information. When you feel connected to a brand and what they're all about, and maybe how an artist makes something, or the values that they have, or the outreach that they're doing within their company, there's all these different pieces that differentiate one brand from another. And I think when we tell those stories, then we can really make a difference just by changing the way that exchange happens.
Yes. Oh man, I love that. I actually didn't even realize that you had kind of started on that foot, I guess, of trying to sell products and everything. And that's so funny. Yeah, because when we met, you basically, I don't even remember how you popped into my world, but I got on your email list and you sent an email with a YouTube video, and I reached out to you and I was just like, oh, I know how difficult video can be. And I am so proud of you right now.
I know. And that was such a good memory getting that email from you, because that is like the bridge between when we're creating all this virtual content and then the real relationships that happen after that.
Yes.
Was exactly in that kind of exchange.
Yes, I love that. And, I have to kind of remind myself to do that sometimes, but we are all, creating this stuff, especially in the virtual world where we work a lot. We're putting stuff out into this universe and we don't know if anyone's watching it. We don't know if they're liking it. It's just like this super disconnection, but it's one that doesn't need to happen.
Totally. Yeah. Intention makes all the difference, right? I mean, you know that in your business, that's the idea. That's the force behind your voice and why people are so attracted to you, because on social media, it stands out even more. It's more obvious, I think, than anywhere else.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, I love this. I love this. Okay, so you started as this kind of marketplace online, and then you pivoted more so into the helping people market their businesses. And now you've created this awesome community where people can come together and help each other. And this all took place in like 4 years, right?
Yeah, it evolved into what it is now over 5 years. Throughout all of that time, I was doing marketing services for small businesses. So I've been in the marketing space from the beginning on more of a one-on-one basis. But this community, Real Content Club, is really the product of treating marketing as an art and understanding that it's always evolving and that each of us as business owners and entrepreneurs, we each get to do it in our own way. And we can empower ourselves with tactics and strategy, and become more sophisticated in our understandings and our tool belts. But I really believe in this foundational idea that marketing is an art. And we're all telling our stories. And the more we can tap into doing it in our own way, the more effective that we're going to be.
Yeah. That's one of the reasons that we just click on so many levels, girl. Those core values. We're so aligned there. Oh man. Well, this is exactly the reason why I wanted to bring you on the show. As you know, it's my 1-year biz birthday this month. It's super exciting.
Yeah, girl, congrats.
Yeah, thanks, lady. But I really wanted to make this month on the podcast about really speaking to those lessons that we've learned in business and how to help those new entrepreneurs who are just starting out with all of these lessons that we definitely all have to learn, And so I'd love to just chat with you. What do you think has been the biggest mindset hurdle that you yourself have had to overcome as an entrepreneur?
I'd say there's two that have been equally challenging, and working through them have both been equally rewarding. One's money mindset. And that one's sneaky because we think that we want to make money, but our actions and our words and our decisions aren't always aligned with that. And I think, it's really easy to get attached to very specific ideas that we have for our businesses. And that's sometimes, that's great to have a clear vision, but sometimes that's also blocking us from really moving and growing in an organic way. So for me, money mindset was a big one, getting really clear on, yes, I want to make this amount. Yes, I'm going to do incredible things with that. Yes, that's equally proportionate to how much impact I can have in my personal life and, within Fruition Studio and beyond. So that was a biggie. And then hustle mindset. It took me a long time to learn how to value myself.
Yeah.
To be frank, it's really easy to get sucked into, I'm going to work, 10 hours straight. I'm going to stare at my computer all day. I'm going to keep hustling. And because we're so attached to our purpose and we believe so much in what we're doing, that for me, at least, it was really easy for me to get sucked into that. And so learning how to find a balance and recognize that, if I'm not going to enjoy this process, then not only is my business going to suffer, but what's the point? Like, why am I running a business if I'm not enjoying it? I can't save that for later. I have to do it every day.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think it was so funny because in one of our many conversations we've had, we were just like laughing about the fact that it's a good thing that we have people in our lives to stop us from working, because if we didn't, then we would just keep working, right? Because a lot of times we do enjoy it. It's really about finding that balance and realizing what's healthy and not letting work control you controlling work.
Yeah, yeah. And other people are helpful, but I think, learning how to be that for yourself is a whole different thing. And it's good. That was a really good lesson for me. And so it's something I try to be really conscious of. And, when you're not fueling yourself, how can you really give to other people? I think, that's something we can all agree on. But specifically with marketing, the way that content marketing works and all the platforms that we're all engaging on nowadays, you have to be generous, right? Like giving value for free, more or less, is rooted in generosity. And so it's really important to also be taking care of yourself if you're going to be able to give that away and create those relationships that are rooted in that.
Yeah, I love that you brought it to generosity and then being generous to others. In order to do that, you need to be generous to yourself as well. That's a big lesson that I've learned. I put an Instagram post out yesterday that I was like, I burnt out last Thursday. Like it was a lot of factors for sure. And, I have made the decision to hustle pretty hard for this month of March with like the end goal of it being easier in April and May and June. But at the same time, I had that kind of literal slap in the face where I was like, Kinsey, you need to stop for 2-3 hours even. And it made all the difference. And it was one of those things where I was like, I know this lesson already.
Right.
Why do I get sucked back into it? So how did you come about like learning that lesson, or what helped you to kind of learn that lesson and then also keep reminding yourself of it? Because we don't just learn one thing once, usually.
Totally. And I think that's key. It's something, but that's why I love being an entrepreneur. There are always lessons and we're always learning them more deeply all the time.
Yeah.
So I think it's just an awareness is a huge piece. But, the way that I think I learned to be so aware of it is because I burnt myself out big time. And I think, we choose, we create experiences, I think, that will help us learn what we need to learn. And so for me, I think that's part of the reason why sometimes it's hard to separate our professional endeavors from, our personal life, is because we're creating them for personal reasons. And that's why I love bringing marketing into the loop in that way, because it's not some separate animal. It's so much embedded in the work that we're doing, but also in the personal lessons that we are wanting to learn.
Yeah, I love that you brought it there as well. I always get so excited when I'm interviewing people. I'm like, yes, give me more. But yeah, I love that you brought it there. And I might kind of sidetrack here a little bit, because I too believe that marketing is so personal. Your business values should totally be aligned with your personal values. That is how you create this business that is so irresistible for people. That's how I believe those things come to be. But I guess what I'm saying is, if it is such a personal thing, like how do you then separate your business from yourself? And maybe, something that I've struggled with a lot in my first year of business is not taking rejection personally. Do you have any thoughts about, how to deal with rejection when it's coming from a place where your business is so much a part of you and kind of your baby, you know what I mean?
Oh man, that's a hard one. I mean, that's another one of those things that it's just an always learning kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think for me, it's always helpful to return my focus to why I do what I do.
Yeah.
Because, for me, purpose is a really powerful force. And so if I get caught up in, again, what, my attachment to what something might look like, if I get caught up in that, it's really easy to take things personally. Whereas if I can just cultivate that awareness and take a step back and say, okay, maybe that didn't play out how I wanted it to play out, but what am I really trying to do? If I can just take that step back and return to what was my goal there? Why was I making those decisions? Or why did I experiment with that thing? I can kind of reset that way. And this has been a big piece of my own growth as an entrepreneur, is being okay with taking action and doing my best and letting go of how it plays out.
Mm-hmm.
Because, in the end, if our purpose, if the reason why we do what we do is what we prioritize or what we value, then we don't need to be so attached to the outcome. If you really want to help your people, serve your customers, serve your audience, then it really doesn't make sense to be attached to the outcome, right? Because that keeps you from listening.
Yeah.
So if something's playing out in a different way, it's an opportunity to be like, oh, that's interesting. I wonder why they responded like that, or what do they need, or what are they looking for, or how might have that affected them? Then it's like taking you out of it so much, and it doesn't need to be all about you. It's about who you're serving.
Yes. I love that, because I was just listening to another podcast interview too, and the lady was saying the exact same thing. She's like, I welcome rejection, or I welcome quote unquote failure, because it's a learning experience. And she's like, you just have to take yourself out of it and be able to look at it objectively and realize, is this criticism? What's the word I'm looking for? If someone's criticizing you, take a step back and look at it and be like, is this criticism helpful? Is it logical? Is it something that I should take and learn from? Or is it someone just having an opinion? And then if it's someone having an opinion, that's their opinion. It doesn't have to concern you. And if it's something that could be helpful, then take that and learn from it. And I was like, oh man, okay, I have a long way to go before I can get this lady's mindset.
I was going to say, welcoming that. Yeah, that's something to strive for sure.
Right. Maybe if I put it on my wall, it'll like sink into me, welcome criticism. Okay. Yeah, for sure. Like celebrate it. Oh, maybe we could like have a little party every time something like that happens. Like, I don't know.
I love that.
That's kind of a stretch, but maybe we could make it happen. But yeah, I know. And I love that you brought it to the purpose of the why behind your business as well, because that is so strong when it's strong. I feel like that's something that I've kind of learned in my first year of business too, when it's like, I started my business and I kind of shied away from a lot of the stuff that I talk about now, like a lot of those major brand values where I want to really, promote genuine connections through social media and get rid of the comparisons and the disconnection and the feelings of loneliness and all that stuff. And I kind of shied away from that in the beginning of my business. And I was just kind of trying to give people what I thought they wanted. You know what I mean? But since making this kind of like shift and embracing these things that I feel really strongly about, it's so much easier to, I guess, not regret things and not care as much about what others are saying, because it's something that I so strongly believe in.
Yeah, I think that a lot of us do that as entrepreneurs. We kind of shy away from the very thing that's going to help us stand out and resonate, because it's scary. And that's why for me, it's always coming back to the emotional piece. It's scary to put yourself out there and to do things differently, to experiment, to be raw, to put something, a piece of content out before it's perfect. These are all scary things for humans to do, right? But they're the very things that, just like you're speaking to, that help us resonate with the people that we're trying to reach. Because we all are surrounded by so much content that we can tell right away when something feels real and different.
Yeah. My entire first year of entrepreneurship has been one big ball of scary. I feel like, you know what I mean?
I'm pretty sure that doesn't go away.
Oh gosh. Oh, darn it. I was hoping. Oh man. Okay. Yeah. So Do you have any tips for how we can just frickin' bite the bullet and push past the scaries and just start marketing ourselves, even though it is something that we shy away from, even though there's a lot of things holding us back? How can we really put ourselves out there and do it?
So I teach, my kind of signature workshop is fundamentals of heart-centered marketing. And a big piece of that is addressing those exact blocks. Like, what is it that's actually stopping us from putting our work out there? Because it's really easy to think, oh, I don't have time, or I don't understand email, or I don't like Instagram.
All the excuses.
Yeah. And those are real, but like we jump to them when, in my experience, a lot of the time it's something deeper than that. And so I think the first step is, again, taking that step back and looking at it and really asking, what is happening here? Am I afraid that people won't like this? Or am I afraid of what might happen if I actually succeed?
Yeah. Is
my money mindset off? Or is this really what I want to be doing? Am I doing the business that's actually right for me? So it's like, these are big questions, and they're usually beneath these more like tangible or more obvious challenges. So I think getting beneath the surface that way is really helpful. And then from there, it's just practice and it's just doing it. And I think those shifts in perspective and understanding that marketing is an art and we're always fine tuning it. And it's, unless you're a giant company with lots of hands on deck and lots of data and lots of money, you're always going to be, even in that case, they're still tweaking. But especially when you're running a small business, it's trying and tweaking and trying and tweaking.
Yes.
And you can't do that if you are afraid to put something out.
Yep.
You don't get to have those lessons, and you don't get to keep adjusting if nothing ever goes out, right?
Yep. Yeah. So this, like, I was starting my business, and I created this business around monthly management for social media, and I was doing all the things. I bought a course. One of my first mentor, she showed me how to set up her systems for this management company so that I could scale it and all this stuff. And I went through 7 months of going for it. And I realized this isn't what I want to be doing. This isn't even good for the audience that I'm building. Like, all the people that I love who like all my posts and all that stuff, I can't even offer them my services. That's not where they are. So I had this huge epiphany where it's like, I need to shift my focus. I need to realize and lean into what I actually want to be doing and what my audience needs. And that just made all the difference for me. But it was also just like, I'm glad that I went through those 7 months of trying to go after that other aspect of the social media marketing business, because I don't think that I would have realized, or I don't think it would be the same now. Like, I don't think I would be so solid in my path now if I hadn't gone through that before, I guess.
Right. Now it's so clear to you of who you want to serve. And that contrast is huge.
Yeah. Like, I'm just so glad that I started, and I just did, and I just kept doing, and it was stressful and it was a lot of work. And I could look back at that time and be like, I do sometimes let myself look back and be like, oh, I wish that I would have done this differently or that differently. But I think it was kind of necessary to go through, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I don't hear too many stories of people sitting and thinking for long enough to create the perfect business and never have problems. Right.
I don't know if there's anyone who's created the perfect business out the gate. Although I did chat with Sophia Sunwoo last week in the interview, and she was like, of course, Sophia is like, my first business was a t-shirt company that just took off and people wanted to buy our shirts, and Miley Cyrus wore our shirts and all. And I'm like, you would. No, I love Sophia, but she's just so good with this business stuff, and I'm learning.
Yeah, we all are.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, girl. Okay, well, we have talked a little about heart-centered marketing. what does heart-centered marketing mean to you?
To me, heart-centered marketing is being real and believing in abundance and generosity, like we've talked about. And by abundance, I'm really talking about, having the mindset that there can never be too much art in the world, that you always have more to give, that you always have more to learn, that there's always enough to go around. Like, those beliefs are really central to heart-centered marketing, because that's what allows us to be generous and have a real impact. Making compassion and impact central to marketing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Compassion is what allows you to understand your audience and serve them better and be more effective. So it's really, to me, heart-centered marketing is about centralizing these values and moving forward in that way, and making marketing an integrated part of doing business, right? Not something separate, not like something that we just have to do, but something that's really a part of our work. And, it's not just this added expense or a necessary evil. It's something that we can actually use to move our mission forward, to have an impact, to grow our business, to grow ourselves, to change the world, right? This is heart-centered marketing.
Yes. Oh, those are like all the big things, everything is listed there. It's like, oh man, I know abundance. Abundance is such a big one for me, because there's so many different parts and pieces to abundance in general. You know what I mean? There's abundance with money. There's abundance with potential customers and clients and audience. There's abundance with creativity, which I love that you brought up.
Yeah.
That's so great. I know. I'm all about this heart-centered marketing.
Me too.
I guess I would love to ask you a little bit more about this abundance mindset when it comes to your competition. How do you deal with people who you feel like, they have the same brand values as you, they offer similar services, and you technically are in competition, but how do you accept that abundance mindset and welcome them into your space and your community?
I can honestly say that's never been a huge thing for me. I think because for me, creativity is such a huge reason why I do what I do, that I get so caught up in all of my ideas and my mission that I'm honestly not that focused on other people, and I've always had this idea of creating a collective, and so I don't really run into competitors. I run into people who might want to collaborate with me.
Yeah.
On one level or another, and I love collaborating. That I ask you to do projects like every other day. So yeah, for me, that hasn't been a big thing.
Right, for sure.
I will say that there's something similar to that, though. That's seeing other people doing really well.
Mm-hmm.
And again, this shows up on Instagram more than anywhere else for me. And that, like, oh, I wish my grid looked like that. Or, oh my God, your copy is amazing. Like, and I love you and I love your work, but there's still always that, like, that always comes up when you see other people doing amazing things. And that's just a conscious choice of like, oh, that's awesome, I support that, rather than listening to that voice that's like, oh, your stuff's not good enough.
That little nagging voice. Oh yeah, girl. We all have the little devil on our shoulder whispering in our ear. I go through the same thing with that. And it's so funny that you brought it back to Instagram, because I was just doing the first module of the Feel Good social map, and
so good.
Oh yay. I'm so glad you like it. But yeah, we like analyze our ideal competitors on Instagram. And I put that into the lesson because I think it is so important to look at your ideal competitors and kind of analyze, what do you like about them? What don't you like about them? What are they doing great that their audience is responding to? What isn't? And as I was creating this lesson, I was like, this might be really difficult for some people, you know? A lot of us shy away from that stuff. And then I realized maybe it's just this mindset shift that we need to make where we're looking at them as inspiration. And, you know, I follow a lot of other social media marketers on Instagram, and a lot of other social media marketers follow me. And I feel like we're always kind of sharing each other's posts, you know, and that's okay. Because like, if we all thought of each other as in competition with each other, then the world wouldn't be improving as fast as it's improving. We wouldn't be moving as fast. I think the collective brain is so great for us in like a creative space. And that's what I love so much about the Real Content Club, because it's this collective of amazing people who are coming together to market their businesses and help each other. It just lights me up.
Yeah, totally. All minds on deck. That's going to get us all way further than kind of living in these isolated vessels.
Yeah. Yes. Because loneliness, especially as like an online entrepreneur, as like a solopreneur, I was not expecting to feel this lonely throughout this first year of business myself. You know, like I went from working in the restaurant industry for years and always being around these people and always having something to feel connected with them about, you know, whether it's complaining about our boss or trying like the special of the day or whatever it is. And all of a sudden I'm sitting alone in my living room every day talking to my dogs, you know, like how do you deal with any loneliness that pops up as like an entrepreneur?
You know, going to networking events and events in the community has been a huge game changer for me. Co-working with people in my community, doing collaborations and just being around people and talking to them, you know, not just sitting at a coffee shop, which I also like to do, but that's been a game changer. I've been going to a regular networking group for the past couple of years, and it's been so good to just relate with other entrepreneurs and small business owners. And, you know, none of them are actually in marketing. And it's not really about that because so many of us are going through similar things. So I think that just that real life interaction and sharing experiences is a total game changer.
Are you enjoying this episode so far? If you answered with a big hell yes, I would love to ask you to snap a screenshot and share it to Instagram so all your biz buddies can hear it too. And don't forget to tag us at feelgoodsocial so we can spread the love right back to you. Thank you so much for listening, my friend. Let's dive back in. Yeah, it's so easy to feel isolated when you're going through something. It's so easy to jump to, this is only happening to me. Like, I'm alone. I'm weird. Like whatever it is. And I think it's so important to speak with other people because there are other people going through the exact same thing that you're going through for the most part. Or what I love to talk about too, I talk about this when writing captions and storytelling and all that stuff. People relate so much on these universal emotions that we're all feeling. We're all going through something. We're all hurting. We're all happy. We're all these things, annoyed. And it doesn't necessarily have to be the same exact experience, but we can relate to each other with these emotions.
Totally. Oh
man, I geek out about like the psychology of this stuff.
Yeah, well, it's really unavoidable. I mean, we're humans. Right? We're engaging on these like robot platforms, but we're humans.
Robot platforms.
Even the robots are trying to guess, you know, what we're going to do.
The robots are, oh my gosh. Instagram is the start of the Matrix. Like, this is what's happening. The robots are taking over.
But we prevail.
Yeah, we will. We do. I mean, Instagram is already getting rid of all the bots, or they're trying to, even though there's still so many of them out there.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's just more opportunity to return to what we decide matters, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Focusing on that. All right, Paige, you know you know how much I hate selling. And so I want you right now to tell me how to push past a scary selling mindset and embrace selling your products and services and embrace abundance when it comes to money and all of that stuff. Tell me how to do it.
Yeah. Okay. So to me, it's really all about believing in what you have. And I've really experienced, like, if I have something that I know will be awesome for someone, I'm genuinely excited to tell them about it. And I'm genuinely excited to say, the doors are open, like, get in here.
Yeah.
It's going to be awesome. And like, I think, that goes a long ways, just being behind what you have and really knowing how it's going to transform that person's life in some way, big or small, personal, professional, whatever. And so that in itself has been a big practice for me. Like, if I'm ever not feeling that or doubting that, or, I've forgotten because I'm caught up in my own fears, it's been really helpful to just journal it out. Like, how is this person's life going to change in some way based on this product? How is this really going to impact them on so many levels? And once I just start thinking about it, it just rolls and it snowballs because there's so much there. Like, I know in my heart that being a creative or being an entrepreneur, having a small business and offering something up is so powerful. And it not only affects the world that we live in, but it also affects us as human beings. And so as soon as I just start thinking about what that means, then I can go off on it. And that's really all it takes for me to get excited about selling, because I know that what I have can facilitate someone experiencing that maybe in a more profound or joyful way. And so that helps me get over that hump. And when my content so much of the time is non-promotional, it really opens the door for those moments when I'm ready to sell. So it all fits together for me like that. And it's fun, we offer what we offer because we love it. And I think a lot of it's kind of like something we're supposed to feel like, oh, we're supposed to be afraid of selling, right? We're supposed to be like a little unsure about it, or it's supposed to feel weird, or like we're supposed to just sneak it under the rug or something, like slip it in.
Yeah.
But we don't need to do that. Like, we get to decide how we market ourselves. We get to decide how we show up on social media, in our emails. And that's really empowering. So I think a big piece of it's just deciding too.
Yeah. I know. I love what you said about my product is helping people.
Mm-hmm.
What I have to offer is helping people, like believing in what you have to offer, because that was something that I had to go through this year as well. But I think that maybe sometimes for me, it's also sometimes hard, those external experiences that you've had with selling kind of thing. My dad owned a canoeing and kayak shop. He owned several things. He did several things when I was younger, but he was kind of this salesperson. And I kind of saw him be a sleazy salesperson sometimes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I grew up with this like figure in my life, and it didn't make me feel good about it in my gut. And so that's kind of how I've always approached it,
Right. Yeah.
And it's been kind of difficult to realize that I don't have to be sleazy when I'm selling, and that selling can take different forms and be approached in different ways and all that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's such a good insight, because, it goes back to like who our role models are and like who we're seeing and what kind of role models we want to be.
Yeah.
When you approach selling in a really positive way, in an empowering way, then it means everyone who's watching what you're doing feels a little bit more empowered to do that too.
Yes. I'm so glad you reminded me of that. That's something that you forget. I was listening to another podcast yesterday, and they were just saying, remember and believe that you are someone's favorite person. If you are someone out there's favorite person to hop on Instagram and see your post pop up, you inspire someone. Like, believe in that and remember it, because that is just such a great driving force as well.
Yeah, totally. And you could be your own favorite person.
That's true. That's true. I mean, I'm hilarious. So. Oh, man. Okay. Really quickly, before we get into, I'm going to try to, we could talk forever, so I'm going to try to cut this off in a little bit. But I know that you are in the middle of, the doors being open for Real Content Club. You're in the middle of this launch and everything. And I just went through the first launch of my course, and launching can just be a super daunting kind of, insane experience for a lot of us, because we are just for 2 or 3 weeks just in this mode of pushing, selling. How do you stay sane, I guess, when you're launching? Do you have any tips for staying focused and staying balanced and not losing your mind?
Yeah, that's the question, right? I mean, for me, it's always been there. There's that doubt creeps in, and you're bugging people creeps in. But for me, it's just pushing past it. I mean, similar stuff, remembering why you're doing it. And I think with launches specifically, we have to expect that we're going to hear crickets.
Yeah.
For 99% of it.
Yeah.
And I think knowing that going in and reminding ourselves of that along the way, and, calling up your gal and having her remind you,
the support system.
That's big, because, people are watching and they're waiting till the last minute, and that's just how it goes.
Yes.
So I think when we just remember that, then it really, really helps.
Yeah. And when Paige is talking about calling up a gal pal, she's talking about me calling her a few weeks ago and being like, I don't know what I'm doing, in the middle of this launch. Like, just tell me I'm doing a good job. She's like, you're doing a good job, girl. So she was very helpful for that moment for me.
Yeah. And I'll be calling you, because it's everything to just hear somebody say, you know how it goes. Nobody's going to respond. People sign up at the last minute. You're doing great. And, it's always different from your perspective. Like, putting out 8 posts about something you're offering feels way different to you than it does to someone else who's on Instagram. They probably only saw one of them anyways.
Yep. Oh, truth right there.
Yeah. And the people that are seeking you out and watching it all, it's because they want to. They're trying to decide if they want to get it.
Yes.
And they're trying to give you space to convince them, right? We've all been there. We're just watching everyone's story. We're watching someone's every single story, waiting for them to just convince us so we can get what they're, offering. Yeah. Because we want it.
Yeah. Because we want it. Exactly. We do want it. We're holding off. We're waiting. We don't know. It's so funny, because I was just about to say, I think my mentor definitely helped me with this last launch as well, because she was there with the whip in her hand, no, send that email, write that post. And I was like, okay, I'll do it. But I also was thinking of her just because before I hired her, I spent every day for a week going to her sales page and rereading her sales page and being like, is this for me? I don't know, blah, blah, blah. And we always focus on the negative so hardcore, even though the majority of responses are normally positive for us, and we just so easily let those slip our mind. One email's unsubscribe, or this person commented and made a weird comment on my post. And we focus on those things and we forget about all this other positive stuff that's coming our way.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I think that's why, for me, it's been such a big practice in just letting go of that attachment to how things look and how they turn out. And it's hard. It's totally not easy. But, it's why are we here? Are we here to get affirmation every day? That's nice.
Yeah.
Feels good, right. But that's not why we're here.
Yeah.
And we know that, we're here to do what we're doing.
Yes.
So we just got to get back to that all the time.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. Sophia brought that up in her interview too. She's like, you can't build your business based on this need for affirmation, this need for acknowledgement. Like that's not a solid business foundation. And that was so interesting to me because I didn't think of it that way, I guess.
Well, I think it's a sneaky thing. I mean,
it's another sneaky thing.
we're all just humans trying to do our best, and that's why that stuff comes up. But I think that's also why it's so powerful to acknowledge that stuff and not ignore it and not pretend like, oh, if I just have like a better formula, then I'll avoid all of this. No, it's still going to come up. So it's okay.
Yeah.
It's just how, that's the point. Again, you're an entrepreneur. You signed up for this.
You did this to yourself.
Yeah, because it's magic, right? It's like who is it? James Wedmore says that it's like a school. It's like, we're all in the school of life, but like if you're an entrepreneur, then you really love to learn. Like you signed up for like the accelerated path.
Yeah. Oh, totally. Okay. Really quick. I know that you went through your first launch of Real Content Club in December, and then you are going through it currently in March. I just went through my first launch in February. I guess part of my launch kind of was just putting stuff out there, trying to go for it, and then realizing that it wouldn't be perfect and that the next launch is going to be so much better, like because I will be able to learn from the launch I was just in. But while I was in the launch, I was like having anxiety. It was like, oh my God, is this going to work or not? So I guess I would love your take now that you're in your second launch. What have you, I guess, learned and changed from the first launch to the second launch?
So in this launch, I have a couple of affiliates. So I'm excited to take this more collaborative approach. And, I think I'll always be shifting my strategy for every launch, just like I am for every piece of content. I don't think it's ever going to be for me like I get to a place where I'm solid about, oh, that worked, I'm going to do that for the rest of time.
Yeah.
Like for me, that's not what I'm going after. There's some really creative launch styles happening, lots of people doing live event launches, video launches or whatever. The sky's the limit. So I think what I learned from last one to this one is I gave myself, I think, a couple extra days for my launch, and I'm shifting focus towards the end of it.
Yeah.
Rather than focusing on the day the doors open. So that's what I'm trying this time.
Yeah.
I gave my affiliates tools, to promote their links, and I'm putting more energy into supporting them in their respective launches. It's just play, it's experimenting, and it's seeing what happens.
Yeah, for sure. I totally agree. And that was kind of my mantra during my first launches. Okay, this is going to be a learning experience. This is going to be great. The next one's going to be awesome. Like looking forward to that next one already. Yeah. And so I'm just excited for the next one as well. And Paige, I'm so excited for Real Content Club. I am loving where you're taking it. I think it's just going to turn into this amazing experience for all different kinds of entrepreneurs. And it's just going to be such a great time in there.
Yeah, thank you. I feel the same way. I mean, there's so many awesome people in it, yoga instructors and electricians.
Yeah.
Everyone in between.
Everyone.
It's really like, I feel like it's what I wanted as I was growing my business, is just a space to engage with other entrepreneurs and talk about marketing in a different way, letting it be a playful, experimental, information-based for sure, but also creative process. And just having that dialogue and exchanging ideas and having a pool of other entrepreneurs and marketing experts to just ask random questions. Like that's what what it's becoming. That's what I always wanted for myself. And
Yeah.
I'm excited for every pair of hands that's in that space, contributing their own experiences and asking questions and engaging. And it's so much fun.
For sure. Okay, let's go ahead and end with this final question. What one piece of advice would you give to those new entrepreneurs who are just starting out with their businesses?
I would say just to keep checking in. In my experience, that's been a big game changer, is just checking in on a day-to-day. Am I enjoying this? Does this strategy or does this practice that I've put on myself, right? You're creating your own business. So
Yes.
You get to do what you want to do. You get to decide what you want to delegate, what you want to take on, what avenue you want to take, what strategy you want to build. It's your call. So for me, it's just checking in, remembering to check in. It's really easy to just get caught up in what you're doing and kind of go on autopilot and hustle, and forget to check in. Is this fun?
Yeah.
Is this working? Is this in support of my vision? Is this aligned with what I value? We can talk about our values, but am I in integrity with that? Am I practicing that? And that's just a small thing. It's just awareness. But I think it's a really powerful thing. And it's something that kind of escaped me for a long time.
Yeah. It's hard to come out of that go, go, go mode. Get stuff done. We're doing it, go in there. But sometimes you definitely need to pause and reassess. That's what we do for social media every month too. Is look at the analytics and see what's working and what's not working, Right.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it comes into play, like you're saying, in all different areas of your business. But it's just that awareness and that intentionality and bringing that into every step, including, self-care. Right?
Yes.
Go outside.
Yeah.
It's totally cool to work hard and to go after it. That's awesome. And if you want to sit and just go for it and you're on a roll, great, do it. I'm not saying stop yourself from doing what you want to do, but there's a way to do that, I think, with intentionality that makes all the difference.
Yeah. When you were just saying that, I kind of had a realization. I feel like sometimes when we're in hustle mode and we're in go, 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 get stuff done and we're getting stuff done and it's happening, but it's really, really scary for us to stop because we're worried that if we stop, then we won't be able to go anymore or the momentum will stop.
Yeah, no, it's true. And I mean, when you're going and going, you have control, right? When you stop, you're almost letting go of that control.
Yeah.
Even though you're more getting a handle on, you're getting real control.
Yeah.
But you've lost the sense of control that you have when you're just going after something with your blinders on and just going for it. That's a very different type of control than stopping, checking in, taking care of yourself.
Yeah.
Seeing the big picture, giving yourself space to enjoy the process. That's a whole different thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man. Oh wow. This all just came together. Whenever you said control too, because before I kind of in my mind, I was thinking it's scary to stop. When you're going, it's scary to stop and lose that control. Exactly. That was perfect. Because I was kind of relating it to almost having an eating disorder. I don't know if you've had any experience with eating disorders or anything, but you get into this habit of not eating or throwing up or eating too much. And it's scary. It has a lot to do with control as well, controlling what you're eating and everything, And so it's exactly what you're saying about, I think when we were talking earlier, you were talking about realizing that it's not all black and white. There's some gray areas there, and we need to lean into the gray areas versus being super black and white with things, because it's not just eating or not eating. It's not just going or not going. There's that middle ground there for sure.
Yeah, you know what? And that's that's a powerful thing you're bringing up. And I've had an experience with, my relationship with my work has definitely played a role in coping.
Yeah. Okay.
With certain things, like allowing myself to get so wrapped up in working and hustling and not taking care of myself.
Yeah.
That was a hard lesson, and it took me a long time to recognize it and to admit it. Because I think for me, it was more of like something I allowed myself to be addicted to.
Yeah.
And that's why, I feel so strongly about being an entrepreneur and not pulling ourselves out of it as people, as, personal life humans, right? Like we're totally entangled in what we do for a reason. And it's just like we were talking about earlier, having to teach ourselves the lessons that we need to learn in life. And there's always this element of like emotion and what's beneath the surface of what's happening. And sometimes it's like really real. So that awareness is big.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, I have our next collaboration project. We're going to create an emotional, what did she call it? So this is also coming from the interview with Sophia. We were talking about how she's like, you don't need a business plan necessarily in the beginning. And then the conversation led into, we need an emotional business plan in the beginning, like how to deal with all these freaking emotions that pop up that have way more to do with your entire life than just your business.
Totally.
But it seeps in, And so I think that having like an emotional roadmap to refer to as we're like going through our business and these problems are popping up and all that stuff would be helpful. So we need to create it. Okay. That's what I'm saying.
I'm down. We might have to get some more perspectives on deck because I feel good about how far I've come in the sense of being aware of that. But it's always a learning opportunity for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I think maybe it could be about like these themes that pop up a lot of times for us, but then it's journaling about yourself when it comes to these themes, like the abundance, the addiction, the maybe desperation could fit in there. That was kind of popping up for me, before.
Yeah. Right. Because the desperation comes from that attachment, right? Like we're so attached to this idea that we've had for ourselves that we just like almost are blocking other possibilities of something unfolding. And, you and I have talked about this, like it's funny because you pivot towards, in a different direction in your business. And then suddenly all these opportunities are coming up because you're no longer desperate for them or like clutching on to them.
Yeah.
And it's wild that it really works like that.
Yeah. Like desperation in your business blocks you from receiving opportunities.
Yeah. I mean, in my experience, that's been true for sure. And that's getting away from that abundance, right? Like that's veering away from believing that there's enough to go around, that you have an abundance of value to give and receive.
And I think another big one for me has been realizing that not everyone is for me and I'm not for everyone.
Yeah.
That's kind of been a big one this first year too, where I want to help everyone and I want everyone to like me and all of this stuff. And it's like, that's just not going to happen and it's okay.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Which is another way to avoid feeling like intimidated by competitors, right? Because when you know that your people are your people, then you don't have that.
Yeah, for sure. Yay. Oh man, bringing it all the way back around. Okay, cool. I love this. Okay, Paige, well, I'm going to let you go because I don't know if you can see this, but my neck has like, it's like getting super red. I don't know. It must be hot in this closet I'm sitting in. But thank you so much for coming on the show, girl. You know that I love to talk to you and I believe in everything that you're doing. And I'm just so excited to see the direction that Real Content Club goes in. Can you tell all my people where they can find you and, you know, just how they can connect with you? Because I know that they're going to want to look you up.
Yes, I am at Fruition Studio on Instagram. I am at Fruition Studio on Twitter. And, you know, I love just hearing stories and giving my insight if and whenever it's helpful. So please reach out to me anyway. I'd love to connect.
Yeah, Paige is really a great conversationalist. So definitely go reach out to her. And I will link everything in the show notes below, obviously, with a link to the Real Content Club. If anyone is interested in that, it's a super awesome community of entrepreneurs who are just doing all the things marketing together and learning and growing and all those things. So it's a really good time. Well, again, thank you so much, Paige. It was a lovely time.
I'm honestly surprised we didn't talk for 2 hours.
Yeah.
That's our self-control right there.
It is. Yeah, we're getting better.
Kins, thank you for having me. I am loving your podcast and your message is super important. I think it's really touching on what a lot of people are needing on social media, which is just an opportunity to be real.
Wow, that was a great way to end, right? I'm not going to lie. I think that somehow our conversation got cut off a little bit at the end there, but thank you so much, Paige, for saying that. What a great way to end the show. Well, thanks so much for listening, friends. You know how much I appreciate you coming back every week. And I just want you to know that you are not alone right now. I don't know if you need to hear that, but we're all in this together and it's going to be okay. And again, if you enjoyed this episode, if you feel like anyone else in your life, anyone else in your social media audience needs to hear the conversation that Paige and I had today, please go ahead and share this on your social media. Tag both Paige and I at Fruition Studio and at Feel Good Social, and we will definitely send some love right back to you. I hope that you have a great week, and we'll chat soon. Thanks so much for listening, my friend. For show notes and a whole lot of other awesome freebies, visit feelgoodsocial.com. Simply go to feelgoodsocial.com for all the goods.